Here is an EOAlive Grande story.
This week we had two special guests discuss their political campaigns. The first is Shane Rollins of Cove, one of 4 candidates for Union County Sheriff on the ballot this May.
I'm Jason Atkinson. I am running for Congress in the 2nd Congressional District, which is right here in Union, Wallowa County. For a long time I served in the Oregon legislature. I was a long-time conservative. I'm the only person running who has never voted for a tax, not even a gas tax. I am pro-life. I am a proud believer. I am a Christian. And I am very much for the Second Amendment. For years I worked here with former Speaker of the House, Mark Simmons, to give ranchers and agriculture not only the access to the forest, but also all the protections that we still don't have from wolves and cougars. So I'm very, very familiar. I've got lifelong friends here in La Grande, so I'm happy to see. My foray into politics actually started when I was an undergrad. I was a kid working myself through college, and I was lucky enough to intern for Congressman Bob Smith 28 years ago. Came back, and a long story of life. I fall in love with a girl who's putting herself through college at OIT in Klamath Falls. We get married, and we were used to being poor, so I ran for the Oregon legislature, which didn't pay anything. And lobbyists gave my opponent $40,000. My wife of 10 months gave me $100. And we devoted our life to public service. I won a seat in the Oregon House, and then I was in the Oregon Senate for 12 years, total of 14 years. And did a lot of things for folks. I worked very hard. I was tireless in working with agriculture and with forestry. I also dove into other subjects that conservative Republicans like me don't get an opportunity. I worked in mental health. I worked on veterans issues. And so for me to be your congressman means that one of the things I did when I was in the legislature was we did the very best community constituent service in the building. I used to train both Republican and Democrat House members on how to do great constituent service because our reputation was the best. And I hope to carry on that legacy of Greg Walden of doing the best community constituent service. But the other thing I learned is that public service is a noble thing, but it's not a career. I actually took a break. As my son was going through high school, I decided I'd take what I called a sabbatical. I knew I would come back to public service at the right time if the Lord wanted me to do it, but I also took a break. I've been away from public service as my son went through high school. So when Congressman Walden retired, I took a lot of time with my family to make sure it was right for us to put yourself through the grind of running for office and return to public service. So in my life, it's full circle, being that kid who put myself through school and getting all the experience in the legislature and now being able to represent rural Oregon. I live in a small town of 1,800 people called Jacksonville, Oregon. And I've got, as I said, lifelong relationships in not only obviously Southern Oregon, but Klamath County and Lake County, Union County, Wallowa County, Malheur County. So I'm really excited to run, and I believe we're going to win. So the question I get is, am I prepared for serving in Congress? And I think I'm uniquely prepared, but it's still very daunting. One of the things about me is I actually, having worked in Washington, D.C. and served in the Oregon Senate and putting people first in constituent service for all those years, I know not only the good side of politics, but also the bad side. And oftentimes the campaigning's the worst part of it. I mean, you wake up every day with people coming after you. So it really does test your commitment to public service. But for me, I'm unashamed. I'm a conservative. I have been since I started. I've never voted for a tax. I remain pro-life. I work very hard on private property rights, and I believe in the role of the individual in America more than the role of a growing government. So I am who I say I am, and I've stuck to my principles. But being prepared for Congress means, do those principles apply when you're serving in a bigger office in Washington, D.C.? And for me, all the things that I've learned in the life that I've been through, I think has prepared me, simply because I know how to put people first, and I know how to do constituent service and build teams of people that serve other people. In rural Oregon, we've got big problems. You've got problems with opioids. We have veterans who don't get the services that they need. We have people whose lives get touched by either mental illness or by cancer, and all of a sudden the insurance company drops them. those aren't necessarily things that you want somebody that's never been in office before to learn on the job. You actually have to know how to get those services for people. Look, if I'm your congressman, I know from experience that you're only going to call me with bad news. You're only going to call me when your lawyer can't do it and your pastor can't do it and your friend can't figure it out. So you're going to call me, and I'm the last stop, oftentimes from a family farm going bankrupt, or for somebody losing everything because insurance wouldn't work, or somebody not getting their Social Security check. I'm fully aware that I am that person. That's why I take that part of the job so seriously. But yes, I do know how to do it, and I think it would be a thrill to do it. When our campaign got started, we were so prepared that we made national news. So I hadn't even been a candidate for 12 hours, and boom, we were on the national news as part of the next wave of people running, the new young guns running for Congress. So I was very flattering, but to me, it still comes down to how hard can you work. And so I think to answer your question, if I'm prepared for office, just watch how hard we're going to work. I've got people in the race that are going to try to buy the election and say anything to get elected. And for us, we're going to go good old-fashioned door-to-door, work as hard as we can, and show people we're legitimate and believable. So the question is, I'm running as a conservative Republican, and can a liberal Democrat trust me to be their congressman? And that's a legitimate question, and I believe so. I'm very approachable. I was raised, and in case my mother sees this, I want to give her full credit, of knowing the importance of having one mouth and two ears. I don't propose to have all the answers to everything. And when you look at some of the larger issues that face us, especially in Eastern Oregon, they're not partisan at all. Opioids knows no partisanship. Mental health knows no partisanship. The fact that we have forests that could burn down if not managed properly is not a partisan issue. So there's a lot of things that we're going to work on. Some of the proudest accomplishments I have is friends of mine who are Democrats and don't see the world the same way I do, but yet they send their kids to intern with me because they know they'll get a good experience and I'll treat them well. I think people can trust me to be not only a man of my word, but to listen and to work with you. Look, I am unashamedly pro-life. I am unashamedly Christian. I am unashamedly somebody that will wear my heart on my sleeve to get things done for people. And I'm not asking anybody to agree with all of that. But what I am saying is, if you respect me enough to be your congressman, I will respect you enough to work hard for you. So is there any hope in serving in Congress? Is there any hope to the big divisions that we face in America? And I think there is. You can't do what I'm doing without being an optimistic person. You can't be a very good member of Congress if you're running against the institution that you're trying to get yourself elected to. There's a lot of people who run for office that run out of very personal reasons, or want to like to see their name in the newspaper or be on television, and they like the perception of being the big heavy in the room. But for me, my draw to public service is out of the Robin Hood nature of serving people and getting something for somebody that has no other person to turn to. I've been very flattered that our campaign has attracted so much national attention, and we have been called the Young Guns. There's a crop of us that are, and actually friends of mine from previous public service, and we're younger, we're principled, and we've all worked together in the past in state legislatures. Now we get a chance to work in Congress. I think it's up for us to redefine the Republican Party. I think that is a huge challenge that comes. I think President Trump gets reelected, but in his second term, I think there's an opportunity to bring the country together. And I think there's an opportunity to find those issues that we can get done for the rest of Oregon. Look, there's a big split in the country, but there's also a very big split between the East and the West, between urban and rural. And so is there hope? I have to believe there's hope. My faith teaches me that my hope is not in my ability. My faith teaches me to have hope every day. I have lived through touches of cancer in my wife and my son. I've nearly died, and I was supposed to have my leg amputated at one time. My son was born under terrible, horrible circumstances. I've been attacked for being a public servant. And in every one of those cases, people would ask me the same question: why do you have hope? And my hope doesn't come from me. That's not where my hope is. But I always get up and I keep going. And that's the kind of congressman I'll be. Of all the things that I've done representing rural Oregon, is there anything specific to Union County? And in my mind, mostly also with relationships I have, I think so closely of Wallowa County too. So the question is there anything specific that I can speak to? And I think there is. I think the new forestry plan, the fact that your county commissioners were able to get the federal government to push pause and to implement something that's going to work in the Blue Mountains, I think is critical. I mean, we've got roads, we've got underbrush to clean up, and we have a huge fire load. So I think looking at that issue as that plan, that could be a national plan for the rest of the country. Forest fires are huge in the 2nd Congressional District, and that is a big topic, but we're seeing some local results here that might have ripple effects across the country. I think getting sustainable timber still out of the Blues is a big issue. We do have working jobs, people that rely on those timber jobs here in Oregon. A lot of small mills I have seen in my career close. Fire breaks out, they can't get the trees out of the ground. They're looking across the road at burnt trees that have a 3-year time cycle to harvest, but while they're still valuable, and they lose them by federal rule. Trump administration has changed those rules of review. I think we can do not only protect forest jobs, but also grow them, I think is unique to Union and Wallowa County. And the last thing, you know, here I am campaigning, and we're right in a flood zone. We're right in a time where we've got people not necessarily tuned into who's going to be their next congressman, but probably tuned in greater to how much ground am I going to lose and what's the cleanup going to look like. So I'm acutely aware of people suffering right now in this county and in Umatilla County and Milton Free Water and by flooding. So there's a lot of things. I think it's important for people to understand that if I'm your congressman, you're going to see me a lot, because I do like Northeastern Oregon. I do have lifelong friends in Grande and Elgin and Minam and Joseph and Enterprise, and so I want to be here, especially in March and April. I love it here, and but you'll always have my ear. I mean, there's things that are specific to Union County. You won't talk to staff, you will talk to me. Is there anything about above ground storage that I'd like to say? I think I would like to learn, because I know it's been attempted several times and a lot of folks have been burned from it. I don't understand why we can't have more above ground storage. If I represent Klamath County. Klamath County is the heat of the biggest water war in the West, and the federal government doesn't allow Klamath County to have additional storage from rainwater, which I still, I don't know why that is and how that doesn't equate to an ounce of common sense. But here, I would have to learn more about it to see if it made sense, but I'm certainly willing to learn. Hi, I'm Jason Atkinson. This is Eastern Oregon Live TV. I am running for Congress to be your next congressman. I'm really excited about it. I have served for a very long time, got a long history here in Northeast Oregon, and I'd love to have your support. Our web address is my name, jasonatkinsonforcongress.com. You can check us out. I will be moving here, well, as long as my campaign manager will let me be in Grande next month, and I hope to meet you. Until